colleagues from CBSE and of course from the schools, it is really a momentous occasion for all of us when persons like Dr. Kalshi sir is amongst us. Before handing over to him, let me just read a few things about him. And so Dr. Singh is 1984 batch Punjab cadre. He is presently holding the charge of Chairperson's National Council for Vocational Education and Training, in short NCVT, under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India, since April 2021. Dr. Kalshi has a great passion and rich experience in policy, planning, and implementations of technical and vocational education. More than a decade. He also worked in Home Affairs and Justice, again for a decade, handled ICT department, again for a decade. So multiple decades he spent in multiple domains. And he is presently working on integrations of skilling into school, higher educations under NEP 2020. Rationalizations of National Skill Qualifications Framework, establishment of National Credit Framework jointly with UGC, AICT, and NCERT, future skills, blended learning, micro-credential, etc., and on Indian language initiatives in technical and vocational educations. Dr. Kalshi is a BUO, he's a Bachelor of, he completed his Bachelor of Engineering, MTech from IIT Delhi, attended Executive Educations program at Harvard Kennedy Schools and Cambridge Judge Business Schools. So with this huge experience, I think he catered the multiple job role in all across the state and union ministry. It is our privilege.
Can you see the full screen?
No, sir.
I think the moment you go full screen, this doesn't work.
No, you just share screen and maybe from the slideshow.
No. Can you see it now?
It is coming. Yeah, now it is coming, sir.
Now it's full screen now?
Full screen.
Okay. Now, today we are going to discuss this National Credit Framework and of course skilling in school ecosystem. But before I do that, let me first discuss few things about the future for which we are preparing our kids. Here I would like to discuss a report by Frost and Sullivan, which has brought out 13 megatrends to form 12 transformational themes by 2030. And these megatrends, they are connectivity and convergence, cognitive era, bricks and clicks, smart is the new green, social trends, new business models, health and wellness, innovation to zero, economic trends, urbanization, city as a customer, future of infrastructure development, future of energy, and future of mobility. Now, under these 13 areas, there are multiple subjects now which have been listed on the screen. Now, for the shortage of time, I will not explain, I'll not go into details of each one of these, but I just wanted to flag that the kind of challenges we have for our students of the next millennium. Now, having said that, there are 10 basic skills which are required for 21st century. And these 10 skills are further subdivided into 4 broader categories. First is ways of thinking. And under this, you have creativity, innovation, critical thinking, and learning to learn. Then there are tools of working, under which you have information literacy, you have ICT literacy. Then there are ways of working, under which you learn collaboration and you learn communication. And finally, there is living in the world, where you have personal and social responsibility, cultural awareness, and global and local citizenship. Now, 21st century learning and teaching. If I broadly classify it, will have four components: humanistic knowledge and values, secondly, foundational and cognitive knowledge, third is metacognitive knowledge to act on something, and finally, the domain or the subject knowledge. Now, under the humanistic knowledge and values, you have cultural awareness, heritage, competencies, citizenship, local, global, as I said, ethical values and emotional awareness, personal and social responsibility, then your life skills, soft skills, competencies, liberal arts, all that comes under the humanistic knowledge and values. Then comes your foundational cognitive knowledge. Under this, you have knowledge of core subjects, cognitive dimensions, which is remember, understand, analyze, apply, evaluate. And then you deal with different kinds of knowledge types, that is factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedure knowledge. You also learn digital and ICT literacy and cross-disciplinary knowledge. Then under the metacognitive knowledge to act, you learn creative thinking and innovation, critical thinking, problem solving, learning to learn, communication, both verbal and non-verbals, communication on the social media, written communication, and then collaboration and working as a team. And finally, the domain knowledge, whatever area you choose, you work in that area. I'll say that 10 competencies for future workforce. So you have social intelligence, that is ability to connect to others in a deep and direct way, to sense and stimulate the reactions and the desired interactions. Then novel and adaptive thinking, which is proficiency at thinking and coming up to the solution and responses beyond that, which are rote learning and which are route based. New media literacy, how to deal with and critically assess and develop the content that uses new media forms, and how to go for persuasive communication. Then you have cognitive load management, that is ability to discriminate and filter information for importance, and to understand and how to maximize this cognitive functioning using variety of tools and techniques. Virtual collaboration, this is what we are right now doing. This is the absolutely one of the most important skills today. Transdisciplinarity, that is literacy in and ability to understand the concepts across multiple disciplines, science, arts, fine arts, and all that. And then design mindset is another very important ability, that is ability to represent and develop task and work processes for desired outcomes. Computational thinking is ability to translate the vast amount of data into abstract concepts and to understand the data based on reasoning. Cross-cultural competencies are again very important with the globalized world, that is the ability to operate and work across the different cultural settings. And finally, the sense making, the ability to determine and the deeper meaning or significance of what is being said and what is being expressed. Now, having said that, let's come to the skilling ecosystem and let's look at the vision of vocational education and training in India. So, first vision is that of the Honorable Prime Minister to achieve global skill standard for making India the skill capital of the world. And for this purpose, you empower the youth. Then making vocational education training more aspirational, dignified, paying, and lifelong career option. Then effectively addressing the existing and future skill gaps as per the global skill needs and the workforce demand. Then development and qualitative improvement of technical education, vocational education, skilling. For this purpose, you must have a very light but tight regulation, and we must empower the stakeholders, and that is what NCVT is doing all the time. Then enhance productivity of the workforce by upskilling, reskilling, and realigning them with the new kind of new kind of work environment. Then vocational education to be outcome centric resulting into employment and entrepreneurship. This is one of the characteristics of NEP 2020, wherein the entire education system is now becoming the outcome centric. Most importantly, integration and embedding of vocational education and skilling in schools, colleges, higher education, engineering colleges and university education, and then workforce for successfully implementing Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India. And finally, we also have vision for blended mode of learning and assessment. So it's basically teaching, learning, assessment, everything included. Now coming to the integration of vocational education into school education. Now as per NEP 2020, vocational education is to be integrated into school education right from class 6 to class 12. Now NCF I'm sure will include one vocational subject as a mainstream subject, and NEP mandates that at least one skill should be taught to every student. So as a result of that, the skilling will have to come as one of the essential subjects as part of the mainstream subjects in 10th and 12th. So right from class 6 to class 8, we are trying to orient these students to various skills. Teaching skills more as a hobbies, as a soft skills, giving them the understanding of the entire ecosystem as to he is able to understand his basic interest in the area. Then in the grade 9th and 10th, you have qualifications, skill qualifications, which are mostly level 3 qualifications, and they should lead to progression to higher education and futuristic programs at degree level, diploma level, or ITI level. And focus should be on employment as well as entrepreneurship as well. When the student comes to grade 11th and 12th, then you must teach him the advanced courses of level 3, 4, even 4.5 in emerging and traditional technology areas. And these skills are basically being used in day-to-day life by all of them. So they are being used in day-to-day life by all of them. Can you see the presentation? Can you see the?
Yes.
Can you see the? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for this disruption because of the internet. Now I'm facing these problems. Then CBSE and NCVT together have identified about 300 vocational qualifications in different sectors now for being implemented in the schools now, which are now being revised in collaboration with the passive Bhopal. So we are all working together and we are working on these areas. Similarly, fine-tuning of the qualification for adoption for vocational education in schools in consultation with the sector skill councils, which are also the awarding bodies, which may require rationalization of the NSQF levels as well as the notional hours. For example, some course at level 3 or level 4 in the skilling ecosystem may be 400 or 500 or 600 hours, whereas for school education, we understand that it cannot be more than 400 hours for a 2-year course, because in 1 year you cannot spend more than 200 hours. So we are trying to rationalize those courses, and that exercise is also on. Then support of the awarding body, the sector skill councils and the assessment agencies to all the school education boards as well as to the schools is available now. You can get certified trainers from there, assessors from there. They can assist you in training. They can assist you in developing the pool of your own trainers and own assessors. And some qualification and courses, they also need to be offered as per the local requirements, especially in the government schools or in the smaller areas. The kind of manpower which is required by the local industry, including the heritage, traditional, handloom, or handicraft skills. Now, these are also important. So some of these are being taken up. Then special focus is on the new age technologies, IoT, AI, machine learning, blockchain, wireless, networking, AR, VR, and XR technologies. Then cyber security, then advanced coding skills, robotics, automation, data sciences, hardware skills, software skills, mobility, cloud computing, you name it, and it is there. Then a robust credit framework for creditizing the entire learning process, including credit assignment, credit accumulation, transfer across schools to higher education and vocational education for vertical and horizontal mobility of the student. Also, this will enable multiple entry and multiple exit options and multiple pathways for the students to choose from. Then academic equivalence, harmonization of NSQF and CBSE state boards and NIOS framework for the school education by NCVT, CBSE, state boards and NIOS. So that academic equivalence is also being done. So I'll explain in my portion in the National Credit Framework. Then special emphasis is on the higher order skills, critical thinking, problem solving, applying, analyzing, evaluating, synthesizing, creating and innovating, as I already said. Then enabling all state, school and technical education boards to act as awarding bodies and assessment agencies. Now that has been allowed by NCVT. Any of these school boards or technical education boards can approach NCVT and in a very simplified fashion can get a restricted recognition up to NSQF level 3. But if you want a regular recognition, you can go up to any level you want. So all those options are now available. Then vocational education in schools, it has to be a serious training, because unless you make it serious, it will not have value in the skill ecosystem or in the job market, or even for the higher education. It won't have value. So we need good labs. So establishing linkages between school, colleges, industry and vocational education institution at local level in different sectors for OJT and apprenticeship opportunities, etc., is extremely important. So the government has come up with the concept of skill hubs to utilize the vocational labs which are there in other institutions, whether schools or higher or skill ecosystems. And these are extremely important for offering low-level courses, level 2, 3 level, maximum level 3 courses at the lowest level. Then 180 qualifications have been identified by the Department of School Education in consultation with NCVT and PASIV, under the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. And now the PASIV is working on these qualifications to make these available within the next 2 months' time. And I'm hopeful that at least 50% of this would be made available. Also, we have to cater to the needs of the students dropping out of the schools. 80 to 95 lakhs per year. Now they'll have to be given some kind of a skill pathway, for which the skills hubs are extremely important. And very importantly, the vocational education has to be made available in the Indian languages of the state concerned, including the qualification, the curricula, and the learning material. So we all are working towards this end as well. So right now, the number of qualifications which are being implemented, Samagra Shiksha is 53, then CBSE is 69, and CBSE Skill Hubs is 14, NIOS is 103. And additional qualifications on which we are working, 30 qualifications for school education under Samagra Shiksha. CBSE is working on 20 more qualifications. And similarly, new qualifications which would be available to everyone would be 183. So we are working on these qualifications. Now, if I talk about the future skill qualifications, now you must have heard about Industry 4.0, which has number of components, starting with autonomous robots, simulation, horizontal, vertical skill integration, system integration, then industrial Internet of Things, cyber security, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, and big data analytics. Now, all these are now going to be used across sectors. It could be automotive, aviation, it could be capital goods, it could be ITES, it could be electronics, it could be agriculture. And the kind of indicated job roles, I have tried to show a few job roles for future, which are right now available. Now, 50% of these job roles are already available and can be seen in the job market. Now, when we talk about, say, big data, artificial intelligence, deep learning, deep neural networks, everything actually is connected. Now, artificial intelligence is connected to big data through machine learning and deep neural networks. Also, the data mining and deep learning. Now, all this entire ecosystem is connected in a way. So far, NCVT, in consultation with all the sector skill councils, in consultation with the big industries, we have developed 216 new qualifications in different areas: 3D printing, 5G, 6G technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, CAD/CAM, cloud computing, cybersecurity, drone technology, electric vehicles, electronics, then extended reality, and then Internet of Things, mechatronics, VLSI design, others. So we have already done so much, and so much is on the plate. By the end of this year, we'll have more than 300 of these new and aspirational qualifications. So some skilling initiative, Ministry of IT, I just wanted to share, they have started something called Future Skills Prime. Now, this is an initiative by the Ministry of IT, and all these courses are available on their website. The entire material is available on their website. And these 10 basic technologies, including artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, cybersecurity, cloud computing, social and mobile, then robotic process automation, big data analytics, 3D printing, and AR, VR technologies. They are available, and anyone can go and register these courses and take advantage of these courses. Also, we are adding employability skills as common national occupation standard across all qualifications. And these employability skills include introduction to employability skills, becoming a professional of 21st century, career development, communication, English, digital literacy, financial legal literacy, entrepreneurship, customer service, then gender sensitivity, we also call it inclusion, and then constitutional values and citizenship, and job readiness and exam preparedness, etc. Now, very important concept which have been brought is guidelines for blended learning in vocational education and training. Under which, see, when we teach somebody a skill, it has 7 parts to it. One is theory, lectures, that is imparting theoretical and conceptual knowledge. Second is imparting soft skills and life skills, that is employability skills, also some kind of a mentorship to the learners. Then showing them demonstration. Then imparting actual practical skills for working with hands or very serious lab work. Then you have tutorials, assignments, drills, and practice. Then proctored monitoring, assessment, evaluation, and examination. And finally, you have on-the-job training, you have internship, you have apprenticeship training. So all that is available. So these are the 7 parts to our skilling ecosystem. And what we have done, we have gone through each one of these. We have defined the kind of technologies which could be used for blended learning. That means part of it is digital and part of it is physical. And then we have defined the rough ratios for each of the qualifications which can be used. And these qualifications are proposed by the concerned sector skill councils. Now, there could be some qualifications where it is 100% online. For example, some of the digital qualifications, some of the coding qualifications, where you don't need to go to the office, you can work from home. So all that can be taught online. And similarly, there are few skills which can be offline, which has to be offline. For example, working with the machine, but part of it can be simulated. So part of it can be used on, skill can be learned on a simulator, and part of it has to be physical. So these guidelines have been finalized. They are available on NCVT website. So I would encourage each one of you to kindly go through these skills. Also, there are higher order skills. These higher order skills, which I talked about a little ago, you have 2 dimensions. One is cognitive process dimension, and one is the knowledge dimension. Under the cognitive process dimension, you have remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now, these are the 6 levels. And under the knowledge dimension, you have factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. And you have to go on this two-dimensional matrix. So most of these schools are either working in first 4 quadrants or maybe first 6 quadrants. Some of the better institutions may be working in the first 9 quadrants, but no institution is working on, say, 12 quadrants. Very few in India would be working on first 12 quadrants. So our idea is to cover all 24 quadrants, and we have to design our curricula, design our delivery according to this. Coming to the National Credit Framework, which has been jointly developed by UGC, ICT, NCVT, NCRT, CBSE, and IOS, and Department of School Education, Department of Higher Education, and then Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now, here, Dr. Saha, I would like to thank him. He was the member secretary of this committee, and he really helped a great deal in understanding of the school education system. So this entire credit framework is basically implementation of NEP 2020. Now, whatever you find as a provision, as a line written in NEP 2020, has been implemented through this credit framework. So it's a comprehensive framework encompassing elementary education, school education, higher education, including technical education, and vocational education and trade. Then integration, it integrates the credits obtained for academics, for vocational skills, and relevant experiential learning. It's very important. Relevant experiential learning. So far, there is no credit system across the globe which does that in such a seamless manner. The National Credit Framework also provides for assignment, accumulation, storage, transfer, and redemption of credits. And it supports a comprehensive skill-based as well as academic and skill qualification framework. So it fully conforms to the National Higher Education Qualification Framework and National Skill Qualification Framework. It also removes the distinction between any general education and vocational education subjects, establishes complete equivalent mobility within and between them. Now, even for the purpose of assignment of levels and credits, we don't distinguish between the vocational education and skill education, as you will see in the next table. Now, this National Credit Framework caters to multidisciplinarity and holistic education. It works across sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports. And you can really go on a multidisciplinary approach. Then it enables multiple entry and multiple exit pathways in general as well as vocational education, and between them. It establishes a very imaginative and very flexible curricular structure, enables creative combinations of subjects and disciplines, and therefore it allows the students to choose their own learning trajectories and programs. They can have their own career choices. They can change their career choices midway. They can make course correction. They can make modifications as per their talents and interests. And then promoting internationalization of education through credit transfer provisions, thus enabling international equivalence. This is again very important for our international students, as well as getting students from abroad. Today, if you look at the number of students which go out from India, is more than 3 lakhs, which come to India is about 23,000. So we have to correct this, whereas we have far more things to offer than any other country in the world. Then promoting extensive use of technology in teaching, learning, vocational education, training, skilling, and especially increasing the access for Divyangs. And then removing language barriers and promoting all Indian languages, all 22 languages. So expected rollout, soft rollout will happen July, August 2022. So here is the table which I was talking about. It's a three-dimensional figure wherein you define the academic axis, the skill axis, and the experiential learning axis. Now, all these 3 axes, if you look at the academic axis, level 1 is class 5th, level 2 is class 8th. Thereafter, every class increases 2.5. So 9th is 2.5, 10th is 3, 11th is 3.5, 12th is 4, UG first year is 4.5, UG second year 5, UG third year 5.5, and then UG 4 year, if it is a 4 year, that is 6, or PG first year is 6, then PG second year 6.5. For engineering, it is the MTech first year is 6.5, MTech second year is 7, and then PhD is 8. Similarly, for skill qualifications, you can see the entry qualifications which are just indicative. Now, for first or second, you may have no educational qualification or read-write qualification. Similarly, third is 8th with experience, or 4th is 10th with experience, or 12th. Similarly, fifth for level 5, you have UG, level 6, you have PG, and then UG and PG with experience, and then finally PhD as the entry qualification for skills. That means skills are not only at the level of the school or for school dropouts. Skills are also being taught at the highest level of UG, PG, and PhD. So there are skills which are required at those levels. Now, coming to how it actually works, the notional learning hours. The most important thing is that everything has been creditized based on the number of hours of learning. So the total notional learning hours in a year for assignment of credits across schools, higher education, and vocational education is 1200 hours per year. Whether you are a BTech student or you are a school student, it is 1200 hours of learning, and for which you get 40 credits. So per semester, 20 credits. So for the purpose of calculation, rough calculation, you have 30 hours per credit. Then assessment is mandatory for getting or earning these credits. And what kind of learning would constitute these credits? They can be anything subject to assessment. It could be classroom teaching, learning, laboratory work, innovation labs, class projects, assignments, tutorials, then sports and games, yoga, physical activity, performing arts, music, handicrafts, bagless days, then yearly, half-yearly examination, class test, quizzes, assessments. Then vocational education training, skilling, minor projects, major projects, or field visits. Similarly, especially for engineering education, it is on-the-job training, internship, apprenticeship, or experiential learning. So everything will actually constitute the system for the number of hours for creditization. So major components of learning in each of the areas, whether you are studying science or studying arts or humanities or economics or engineering, remains almost the same. So you have a knowledge, you have skills, you have professional learning, and you have aptitude. And therefore, we are not differentiating between the kind of subjects which you choose for learning, and the credit for 1200 hours of learning is same everywhere. Even for project work, internship, apprenticeship, on-the-job training is 30 hours per credit. However, one can take additional programs. For example, if you are in class 11th or 12th, you can take additional subjects and you will get additional credits for those subjects. For example, UGC and NCVT will allow 2 courses in parallel, so that is possible. Also, there is relevance of weightage of learning, experiential learning and proficiency subject to assessment, so that can also be done. So credits also for online and blended learning. So as I said, that now we recognize blended learning, including online learning. So therefore, subject to assessment, now this will expand open and distance learning options. Blended learning will also promote flexibility, efficiency, and extensive use of technology, teaching learning. Then making academic and vocational education available in all Indian languages will increase the access of the education to 90% non-English medium students. And finally, the expansion of the academic bank of credit, which was originally for the university system. This will also include now the credits for the school education, the higher education, vocational education, training, apprenticeship, internship. All credits will go into this once the credit framework is formally approved and launched. This single table tells you how the entire ecosystem is connected. You see the first column is academic band, hours of learning per year. And in the second column, you see the academic grades which the person gets right from preschool of 3 years, then class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. And whatever colors, different colors you see, they are the assessment bands. And the third column you see, this is the national credit framework level, or national higher education qualification, or national school education qualification framework credit levels. Now, credits earned per year for 1200 hours of learning is in the next column. And if you multiply the column 3 with column 4, you will get column 5, which is the credit points earned. The credit points earned per year would increase with the number of years of education as you go up the ladder. And similarly, the assessment stages and the equivalence has been given in the last column. So ultimately, you see class 5th is level 1, then 6th is 1.33, 7 is 1.67, class 8 is 2, class 9th is 2.5, class 10th is 3, class 11th is 3.5, class 12th is 4. Then for UG, it is 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. And for PG, it is 6.5 and 7. And finally, for PhD, it is 8. So that is how this entire ecosystem is now connected. And it is a continuous, it's in continuum, absolute continuum. If you look at the comprehensive table, again, you see you have school education grade passed, then you have higher education, which is general education, you have higher education, which is technical education, you have vocational education programs, which is long term, and finally you have vocational education program, which is short term. And now these are all getting equivalence in a way. The way it will get equivalence is given in column number 8. So, for example, if somebody has done his ITI, suppose after class 8, he goes for ITI and he wants a certificate of level 9, then along with ITI, there is a provision that he can go for a 240 hours of language course and he can get an NIOS certificate of class 9. Similarly, after 10th, he can get a certificate of level 10 after the second year of ITI after class 8. So similarly, when you go to the senior secondary schools, again, if he's not interested in class 11th, he can go for ITI or he can go even for diploma, and he can get equivalent certificate of class 11th and class 12th. And any time he wants to change from the technical education to higher education or school education or academics, he can do that, and vice versa. So that is possible. And the kind of additional requirements which are required to be met, the additional criteria which is required to be met for academic equivalence has also been defined very, very properly and in a very systematic manner. So as you see class 11th and class 12th, then you can also go to UG program, UG first year, UG second year, similarly UG third year, and the UG honors program or the BTech program, and finally the MTech program, or for UG it is PG program, and for engineering it is master's program level 6.5 and level 7, and finally the PhD program. So it's a very well integrated matrix, and where you can find equivalence. For example, all these programs in class 11th, they are all at level 3.5. Whether you talk about the NSQF level or whether you talk about the National Credit Framework level, it is 3.5. And for NHEQF, it starts with level 4.5. It starts with level 4.5. Before that, you see there is no NHEQF level because it is the higher education. It starts with UG first year. So, and all these levels are all equal. However, for getting that academic equivalence, they have to have some extra credits. So that is how the system is designed. Now, I would like to stop here, and I would like to invite questions from any one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a extensive and thought-provoking presentation. We are very thankful to you for sparing your time. We have lots of questions from our principals. But I would like to first invite Mrs. Amrita Burman, who is director at Sun City School, Varanasi, for the first question.
Thank you.
Mrs.
Thank you so
Burman?
much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. First of all, for the invitation. And I thought that was a very, very comprehensive presentation, really good for schools. So my question is, how will students' performance and learning outcomes improve under this credit system? And on the reverse, will the credit system have an impact on their learning outcomes and the skill building of the students?
See, if you really look at the kind of curriculum design which we follow in NCVET, we don't define what is to be taught. We actually define what is to be learned, or what outcome do we expect after the student has gone through this particular module. So we divide our courses into notches. Now each qualification is divided into notches. It could be 4 or 5 notches. Notch means National Occupation Standard. So these notches are very standard notches which are followed across the globe. So we follow notch system. So in each notch, then we'll have PCs. PCs means performance criteria. So we define the performance criteria as to what is expected from him once he completes the course. What do you expect him to perform by way of a skill, right? So when you do that, you assess the student based on the performance criteria. And this assessment which I'm talking about, assessment could be of a number of kinds, many kinds. And we follow all kinds of assessments. Now let me, for example, if I may just mention a few. Now you have diagnostic assessments, formative assessments, summative assessments. All of us, we follow it. Mostly it is a summative. Then spatial assessment, then non-reference assessments, then criteria reference assessment, then peer-to-peer randomized assessments, then industry validation for effectiveness, and self-assessments. Now these are there, and we intend to follow all kinds. That is what we have defined under this scheme, the blended learning guidelines which we have come up with. So I think once you start following this, you don't have to make him rote learning. You don't have to stress. You have to basically stress on the basic fundamentals of the student. And once he knows the basic fundamentals, he's not going to forget it for the rest of the life, even if you try your best. Now, I have tried it myself. Now, whatever I learned in my class 8th or my class 10th or 12th, I still remember the concepts, but I don't remember the rote learning kind of thing, whatever was there. So that is there. So this is going to really improve the performance of the student. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was great that we don't stress on what is to be taught, but what is to be learned. And remembering the concepts of class 8. Dr. Smita Rao, Principal of DPS Nacharam, also has a question. I would like to invite ma'am for the question.
Thank you so much, sir. We're so excited about the scope that the scheme has.
Ma'am, could you just a little bit louder? The voice is not very less. Thank you.
Audible now?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'm so excited with the scope that the scheme has for schools and students. Technology and AI have already been integrated with most of the educational processes. But now that we are talking with specific reference to the National Credit Framework, technology support is obviously required for the process of transferring of students and credit points from one institution to another. And this could be challenging as this is based on mutual consent. Will we have a set of entry guidelines or guidelines for transfer, sir?
यार पहले आप इस बात पे तो खुश हो कि एनसीआरएफ आ रहा है.
Yes.
अब अभी पहले आप उसकी प्रॉब्लम्स में क्यों आप घुस गए? That is least of the concern, because this ABC is going to be a totally technology-driven platform.
Right, sir. Right.
And whatever credits they earn will go into ABC. Wonderful. Again, nobody is forcing you to take a student on transfer from place X to place Y. Ultimately, the ecosystem would develop in such a way that schools with a higher rating or school with a particular rating would accept students from parallel kind of schools. And if the student is not from a parallel kind of school, there could be a bridge course. There could be additional credits. No, this system is going on in IITs for a long time, and we have never faced a problem with there. We have never faced problems. So operationalizing this in first few years would settle down, and the ecosystem would find its balance.
Right.
And the ecosystem is very flexible. You know, it's live. So I don't see any problems or any challenge there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Dr. Anupama Saxena, principal from Gai Girls School, Meerut. You go ahead with your questions, please.
You are muted.
Yeah, am I audible, sir?
Now,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah, well, on the onset, good evening, and thank you very much, CBSE, for allowing us. We have been one of the foremost fiscal centers in the town, and really concerned about it. I truly feel that this is a step which is going to help our youngsters come up with their own enterprises. So just a little query, sir. Will all these credit scores criteria be same for all these subjects?
Why not? My question is why not?
Sir, the technical subjects have their own.
Again, we have been differentiating between subjects in a very artificial manner. Do you think a history student is less important than a science student? Do you think so? I don't think so.
No, of course not.
I'm an engineer myself, and this should have been very difficult for me to accept, but I'm proposing it. So I don't see, you need complete education. And when you teach someone, whether he's a history student, he's a humanities student, or he's a science student, or he's a BTech student, it is the number of hours of learning and the credit level at which the learning has been done. Now, for example, if you read the National Higher Education Qualification Framework, so under this new framework, they suggest that up to 25% of the credits can be earned through other means. Now, it could be interdisciplinary. It could be, say, skill education. It could be interdisciplinary subjects. So why can't you have a major in electrical engineering with a minor in history? And why should I differentiate between the subjects? I should not.
I fully agree, sir. This is what I believe in. I just wanted a reconfirmation. I've always been into it. Just one more thing, if I'm permitted to ask, sir. Will
Please.
these credit scores be unanimously screened for all, irrespective of their demographic variables, sir?
I don't understand this question.
Sir,
The answer is obvious.
Sorry?
The answer is obvious. You cannot differentiate between the students.
Of course, we cannot. But the circumstances in which a child in Delhi or Mumbai or Kolkata or Hyderabad may be taking it up with the advantages, will it be the same with Manipur and far-reaching places in case they adventure it out?
Why not? We are measuring the learning outcomes, and everything is based on learning outcomes. If he has learned, he has learned. Did I talk about marks anywhere? I did not.
No, of course not.
I'm not talking about marks. I am talking about credits. If somebody has passed, he gets full credits. Why not?
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Dr. Sudha Acharya, Principal ITL Public School, Dwarka.
Good evening, sir. It was a very comprehensive and very informative session. And we were listening to you keenly and got so much information about the credit system. My question is that how can the credit score at the school level match up to the standards of higher education?
School education is from level 1 to level 4.
Okay.
Higher education starts with level 4.5 up to level 8.
Yeah.
So school education is feeding into the higher education. So the distinction is very clear. Where the school ends, and the higher education begins. So there is no confusion at all. There is no scope for confusion. Am I?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Very clear.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Sudha ma'am. Mr. Harish Sanduja, Principal, Birla Public School, Oman. He would like to ask one question.
Thank you, sir. It's very informative. I have, in fact, two questions. I'll just quickly shoot them. One was that when we are making the credit system, we are putting an idea of 1,200 hours of work per year per subject kind of thing, that, or the whole subjects, not per subject.
Or all subjects.
Not all, it's all subjects, yes. So what happens is that if you divide it by 6 hours a day, then it tends to around 200 working days, which generally is not the reality that is turning out these days. We find that we are slightly lower than that in the number of working days. We need to rationalize our syllabus and curriculum regarding that. I think there, if we can kind of put some thought so that this rationalization happens. Second is that how will the NEP 2020 help students maintain a healthy balance between the academic expertise and the skill proficiency, and also boost employability? Means the academic balance that we are talking about with the help of this credit framework and all, how is it going to help that?
Now let's look at it. 1,200 hours of learning.
Yeah.
Now, how did we reach this figure?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the total instructional hours which have been specified by CBSE, is 1080 hours. 1080 hours of instructions. And if you put together all other activities which the student goes through in the entire school system in 1 year, we are just taking it 120 hours. Whereas if you look at the actual number of hours to be spent on the activities which I just counted, this would be more than 240 hours or even 300 hours. Because you are including everything from examination to his music classes, 26 January, 15 August, दौड़ों में हिस्सा लिया, sports किया, जो मर्जी किया, subject to, of course, some kind of assessment. Now, every kind of learning which is having day in and day out, for NCC, for Scouts and Guides, so everything is being creditized. Okay. So 1,200 hours includes everything. So I don't see a challenge. In fact, some people say this should have been increased, not 1,200 hours. It should be more. Okay. For example, the university sometimes feels that it should be 1,500 hours. Okay. So what do you say on that?
Fine. Thank you.
And second question, you said skilling. No, we are doing all this just to include skilling as one of the 5th subject. Right now, your skilling is not getting the right kind of attention or importance it deserves. Now, do you think that one of the subjects at class 10th level or 12th level is more important than the knowledge of AI today, or the knowledge of, say, language, computer science languages today? Obviously not. So now you will have to make your skill education aspirational. Now, if you make it aspirational, if you offer them right subjects, people will go for it. And people would prefer these, because somebody having done high level programming at level 11th, in class 11th and 12th grade, would find it much easier to do it in the Bachelor of Engineering course.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We have space for one last question, and Mr. C.V. Mishra has been sending messages for that. So, Mr. Mishra, if you're online, then you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This session is very well. And my question is related to some assessment part.
First of all, a very nice quote that you have at your back, and a very apt quote that is for today. Now your question, please. Sorry for
Thank
cutting.
you, sir. In what ways that will the credit score system will be implemented at basically the school level? And sir, will board directly supervise this progress, or will the training will be provided to the school teachers for the same or not? And what will be the ABC apply to the school education basically?
Thankfully, it is for Mr. Saha to answer this question. No, I was the one to make the credit system, but implementation is in the hands of Dr. Saha. So, but at the same time, Dr. Saha is fully prepared to do it, because as I told you, everything will be based on a technology platform. And this technology platform is going to be a very robust technology platform, something like DigiLocker. So ultimately, every institution will have to get itself registered. Every student will have to be identified. No student can put their credits wrongly. For example, the identification could be through their Aadhaar number, for example. We don't have to ask the Aadhaar number. We only have to ask for the authentication. Aadhaar number is not required to be stored at any point in time. No, not required. But authentication can be done to that. So this entire thing is going to be technology based. Just like in COVID times, you got your shot, first dose or second dose, and by the time you came out, you had a certificate on your mobile. Could you ever imagine that? Even a country like USA has not been able to do it till date. So same thing, it will happen like that. So please trust Dr. Saha and his team.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking all the questions so well. And I would now like to hand over the proceedings to Dr. Saha for his remarks.
Not remarks. I think when mentor like Dr. Kalsi interact with a school leader, I think no room has been left. Every rooms are filled with his knowledge of wisdom. And moreover, we initially thought for half an hour interactions, but 1 घंटा एकदम आराम से बीत गया सर. 1 घंटा पूरा हो गया सर. Just we are at 4:32 right now. So thank you very much. I think if we open up the discussions, more questions will come. But definitely we'd like to listen to you, we'd like to interact, and maybe a separate group of principals. Some principals have closely worked on no hard separation. Some principals are promoting skill hub, and some principals are directly becomes brand ambassador for different skill promotion. So all together in the CBSE's families, out of our 27,000 schools, more than 16,000 schools are somewhere or others are promoting skill, but maybe the figure need to be enhanced, and also how multiple skills can be promoted. I think you have encouraged all of us towards the variety of skill courses. Many a time CBSE school leader, due to infrastructure availability, their dependencies on ITES is more. So I'll urge through these kind of lively sessions, you can also look into the future skills and India-specific requirement and global requirement, so that in light of NEP, in light of creditizations, especially how the children, when they are going to take up any hobby-based module as a skill course. Now, under this national credit framework, they are going to acquire a credit for that. So micro course promotion in the school ecosystems becomes an important agenda at this hour. And definitely under the guidance of Kalshi sir and our honorable chairpersons, Madam Nidhi Chibbar, we are going to work upon these micro skill courses in the CBSE systems. And your support is very much essential.
Incidentally, Dr. let me share with you. You just touched the right topic. We call it micro credentials. And you very soon, in next 2 days' time, you will see the first consultation paper on micro credentials, starting from say 15 hours to 30 hours. And the shortest micro credential could be 7.5 hours, but that would be for much higher levels, for the level of the CEOs and all that. But for most of the other people, it will be 15 to 30 hours. So that we are already doing, and we are prioritizing. Thank you.
Great, sir. And similarly, I think if we recall the discussions with sir again earlier, that certain course can be offered completely in an online mode. Because these days UGC already taking the credentials of if somebody is doing through NPTEL, SHIAM and other platform, the weightage inclusion is very much there. So maybe certain independent course, or it's as sir said, micro credentials and virtual vocational schools concept, all those areas we need to discuss through different brainstorming session, and whichever is applicable and which part of the country, accordingly we'll come up with the comprehensive plan. Once again, thank you and deep regards to you, sir. And your NCVT teams are also very much vibrant, and CBSE, NCVT, and both the ministry will work together. Thanks to all the team members from CBSE, especially RP and others. And of course, all the principals who have asked questions directly to sir. Those who are still thinking to ask the questions, will share sir's presentations later on. You can deeply look into the dynamics of his presentations. And later on, if there is any questions through email, you can ask or you can pass on to us. We can also refer to him later. But a positivity of discussions, it begins now. जर्नी हम सबको इकट्ठा करना पड़ेगा towards आत्मनिर्भर भारत. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So let us conclude here only. Okay.